in Congress, July 4th, 1776, a declaration by the representatives of the United States of America in General Congress assembled. When, in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence, indeed, will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty, to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. He has refused his assent to laws the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance, unless suspended in their operation till his assent should be obtained, and when so suspended he has utterly neglected to attend to them. He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people, unless those people would relinquish the right of representation in the legislature, a right inestimable to them and formidable to tyrants only. He has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of their public records, for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures. He has dissolved representative houses repeatedly, for opposing with manly firmness his invasions on the rights of people. He has refused for a long time, after such dissolutions, to cause others to be elected, whereby the legislative powers, incapable of annihilation, have returned to the people at large for their exercise, the state remaining in the meantime exposed to all the dangers of invasion from without and convulsions from within. He has endeavored to prevent the population of these states, for that purpose obstructing the laws of naturalization of foreigners, refusing to pass other laws to encourage their migrations hither, and raising the conditions of new appropriation of land. He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing his assent to laws for establishing judiciary powers. He has made judges dependent on his will alone for the tenure of their offices and the amount and payment of their salaries. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance. He has kept among us, in times of peace, standing armies without the consent of our legislatures. he has effected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil power. He has combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws, giving his assent to their acts of pretended legislation. For quartering large bodies of armed troops among us, for protecting them by mock trial from punishment for any murders which they should commit on the inhabitants of these states, for cutting off our trade with all parts of the world, for imposing taxes without our consent, for depriving us, in many cases, of the benefits of trial by jury, for transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretended offenses, for abolishing the free system of English laws in a neighboring province, establishing therein an arbitrary government, and enlarging its boundaries so as to render it at once an example and a fit instrument for introducing the same absolute rule into these colonies, for taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the forms of our government, for suspending our own legislatures and declaring themselves invested with power to legislate for us in all cases whatsoever. He has abdicated government here by declaring us out of his protection and waging war against us. He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coasts, burnt our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people. He is at this time transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the works of death, desolation, and tyranny already begun with circumstances of cruelty and perfidy scarcely paralleled in the most barbarous ages, and totally unworthy the head of a civilized nation. He has constrained our fellow citizens taken captive on the high seas to bear arms against their country, to become the executioners of their friends and brethren, or to fall themselves by their hands. He has excited domestic insurrections amongst us, and has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers the merciless Indian savages, whose known rule of warfare is an undistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions. In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which we may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of a free people. Nor have we been wanting in attentions to our British brethren. We have warned them from time to time of attempts by their legislature to extend an unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. We have reminded them of the circumstances of our emigration and settlement here. We have appealed to their native justice and magnanimity, and we have conjured them by the ties of common kindred to disavow these usurpations, which would inevitably interrupt our connections and correspondence. They, too, have been deaf to the voice of justice and consanguinity. We must, therefore, acquiesce in the necessity which denounces our separation, and hold them as we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war, in peace, friends. We, therefore, the representatives of the United States of America, in General Congress assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do, in the name and by the authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are, and of right ought to be, free and independent states.
Hear, hear.
That they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is, and ought to be, totally dissolved. And that as free and independent states, they have full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and do all other acts and things which independent states may of right do. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor.
Hear, hear!
Here, here.
Here, here.
Huzzah!
Huzzah!
I ask something of you. I ask you to all stand in a line, facing me, shoulder to shoulder. Well done. As you probably know, my name is Thomas Blodgett. I'm the baker, but I was also a soldier in His Excellency George Washington's Army during our late War of Independence. And I first heard this on a storefront much like this in Hartford, Connecticut, when I was 16. My father and our family was from Massachusetts, and my father fought at the Battle of Concord in Bunkers Hill. We moved to Connecticut in winter of 1775. And my father, upon hearing this, said, "When you are 17, you may enlist. I will sign for you." So in 1777, when I was 17 years old, I enlisted in the 4th Connecticut Regiment. This is my old coat from that regiment.
I am Pastor Matthew Ryan. My family fled the Kingdom of Saxony in 1764 due to the horrors of the 7 Years' War. I was born in 1770, therefore in Germantown, Pennsylvania. I did not see the war as a soldier. I saw it as a child in the battle fought nearby. In the 1790s, I joined the 1st Infantry. I fought in the Ohio Valley and served under Lieutenant Clark, the brother of the famous General Lord Rogers Clark. My parents made me make a promise to them. If I should survive the horrors of fighting the Indian Wars, that I dedicate my life to the church, and I have done that.
Well done, Pastor.
I was born in 1779, and as a young man, I apprenticed as a butcher. But when our country needed to fight to retain its independence in the Second War with Great Britain, I enlisted in the 1st U.S. Infantry, based here in Missouri. I was sent all the way up to Upper Canada, fought several battles, and made it back here. Now I work as a butcher in town, and I'm active in the organized militia.
My name is William Connolly. I was born in 1794. In 1812, I joined the United States Army in a Pennsylvania regiment and served there for 12 months.
I, David Pop, also born 1794, also served with Mr. Conley here in the same regiment and only served about 12 months in 1812.
Georgia, step front and center. That's you, lad.
Oh,
I have a job for you.
all right.
You wish to hold the colors. This flag right here was the first United States flag ever made. My wife, Margaret, when we were engaged during the war as young folk, sewed this for us. It's called the Grand Union. Has a British flag in the field, but the stripes for the United States. And I have kept it dear to my heart, for not just being made by her hands, it is also a symbol, the first symbol of our great nation, our great experiment. So if you would stand over there at the front of the column, everyone else slide down. Gentlemen, form ranks. You get to lead the whole thing. So you go down, we're all in. everyone's facing to the front. Slide down. It's called dressing. So dress to your right. Well done. When I say take care, you will come to attention. Take care! Be at the order. You cannot. Never mind, you have a flag. Shoulder your firelocks.
One.
To the right, face. To the front. Just enjoy the parade. March. Yes, right there. Well done. Second file. Fall out and raise colors. Take care. When we come to present, you salute. Present, arms. Resume your position. Shoulder your firelocks. Section, make ready. Present. Fire! Load. Prime and load.
They're shooting at us. So quiet and all of a sudden. They're looking at my camera down there at Fort William Seminary. And they shot a musket.
Make ready. Present. Fire! Shoulder your firelocks. Colors to the front. To the front. March. Five, to the right. March. Dress down to the right. Everyone shuffle over. Side step, side step. Arm in arm with these gentlemen. Come up. There you go. Well done. Well done. Something to remember. The blood of the men who have shed their lives and received grievous wounds for your country was not free. Freedom is always costly. The blood of tyrants must often be disposed by the sons of liberty.
You're here.
So, everything that these men have done will come before you. Myself, Mr. Conley, Mr. Ryan, Mr. Achecki, Mr. Pop, and all those who are not here have done so so you may be here. And history shall never be forgotten. Otherwise, it will repeat itself, and sometimes in very bad ways. So remember that. As you have festivities on Independence Day, it is not just a day of frivolity and a day that you see people shooting off guns or fireworks. It is a day that this country said, after many years, we are a country. Thank you very much. Parade dismissed.
3 cheers for these United States!
Hip hip hip! Hooray!
Hip hip!
Hooray!
Hip hip!
Hooray!
That was good.
Yeah,
That was fun.
I got it.
You did it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Are you from
Very on.
Well,
you, sir.
I'm from right by the river.
God bless you all.
Yeah.
You're from the area.
Well done.